I'm Ian Hickson. I work for the Open Source Program Office here. This is Håkon Lee. I first met him through the CSS working group, where we're still working. He then hired me to Opera Software, where he's currently the CTO, and we're still working together on the working group on the HTML5 spec, and he's going to talk to you about one of the proposals we have for that very spec.
Thank you, Ian. It's good to be here. I understand I created some problems for the Gmail system by naming my talk the video element with these funny brackets between. They were collapsed into something. So I'm happy to help you debug Gmail along the way here. I'm going to be talking about the video element. I'm going to give it a little bit of context. The video element is really a very simple proposal. If I just talked about that, it would be like a 30-second thing with a small demo afterwards. I'm going to give it a little bit of context and also talk a little bit about the issues that are facing us as we're moving to have this be deployed on the web. If any of you would like to play with this yourself, I see some of you have laptops. We have just today released, in honor of this talk, a version of Opera, experimental version of Opera that has support for video. That is, it can play videos natively in Opera. You can find the instructions on how to download and install it from here. It only takes a few minutes. So if any of you want to do it while I'm talking, you're probably going to see video before I show it on the screens here. A little bit of context. I've been a web guy for a long time. I stumbled across HTML source code in 1992. This was before Mosaic, and I still remember, the feeling in the lab when I discovered this and saw these simple tags, and wow, can it be that simple? So I immediately wanted to work on this technology, and I went to CERN, which is the birthplace of the web, and started working with Tim Berners-Lee there. At the time, we were 4 in the project, and I remember coming there, and when I got my machine, it was named WWW4. I'm very proud of that. CERN is in Geneva, just outside of Geneva, and the picture I'm showing here is taken on the French side of the border. Geneva is very close to France, and the accelerator, the physics accelerator that really is CERN, is underground in a circle that crosses the border. It's actually a circle that crosses the border 6 times. So you can think of how complex the border is between those 2 countries. This picture is taken on the outside. On the ground level, so to say, and it's very beautiful. It's a really beautiful area. The city of Geneva is in the middle there, and you have Mont Blanc in the back. One of the most beautiful places you can go to. If you turn the camera, you have the cows and the Jura Mountains behind. So it's sort of like mountain view. The CERN itself was built after the war, and it's not the most exciting place architecturally, but this is where the web was born, and the hallways underneath. Most of CERN is below ground, and the hallways underneath are very dark. They're very structural, though, compared to the natural beauty of the nature on the above. The scientists are working in the dungeons underneath, and they have carefully, set up their offices, their lighting system. Everyone is very organized. The web was invented on the second door to the left here, and I have this. This is another picture from the same area. This being CERN and physics, I'm not a physicist. I think I can only dream of what passes through these pipes here. But I do imagine, Tim Berners-Lee coming to office every day, walking back and forth and thinking about HTML and what kind of tags you should put in there. That, I need H1, H2, H3, like one should be bigger than the other. And then I need a few more tags over here. So maybe this is the inspiration for the HTML specification. In any case, HTML took the world by storm. It was released in the early 90s. Then Mosaic came along, and we could all demo these things. Mosaic added the image element, IMG element, which made it possible to actually show very compelling demos. We could have text and image on the same page, not next to each other horizontally, but underneath each other in the first version of Mosaic. And since then, it has developed, and the web has become increasingly more visual, while at the same time we have a semantic foundation that HTML still provides, and that Ian, now being the editor of one of the specifications for HTML, is important, is working on preserving. So we combine both the structural world of the scientist with the beautiful world of nature, or of the animated GIF artists out there. And I think in that context, the video element is interesting. Before I go into the video element itself, I'd just like to say a few words about Opera. I assume many of you know us. If you don't use us as your browser, you can use Opera on many sorts of machines. We started out on the desktop in 1995. I wasn't with the company then. The desktop is still where we have a lot of our users, but in addition, we've added 2 more areas of business: Opera for mobile, where we put Opera into phones, so you can surf on the web, and Opera for devices, another exciting area. We have just before Christmas we released Opera for the Nintendo Wii. So actually, if you want to surf on the Wii, you can install Opera for it. We may quickly have more users on the Wii than on other devices, given the success of the Wii. Another device that I've been working on myself over the last few months is the $100 laptop, which is a wonderful machine for developing countries. It's made to be inexpensive, and therefore it can't have much memory, it can't have much processing power, both for reasons of cost and also because they use a lot of battery. So this is a low-power device in many ways, and therefore it's perfect for running Opera in. So if any of you want to see that later, I can show that too. Now, on the Wii, one of the most compelling reasons for having a Wii is that you can actually use it to go to YouTube, and it works quite well. You can sit back on your sofa, on your couch, and hook it up to your TV, and you can surf the web. And a lot of the users go to YouTube or other video sharing sites. And we show video clips inside Opera because we ship Opera on that platform with the Flash player, same as we do on the desktop and other devices as well. Flash has established itself as the common denominator for video on the web, and that's probably the reason why Flash was chosen, is probably because the Flash plugin is present in most of the browser installations. Unlike Windows Media Player, another strong contender, it's not on the Macs, it's not on Linux, but you can actually get Flash for all these platforms, at least on the desktop. Flash is combined with some obscure code. If we look at the code needed, if you go to YouTube and look at the source code, you will find some quite obscure JavaScript code there, which isn't very friendly to author. It still kind of works, and it works for most people. And a lot of people have discovered, sort of rediscovered the web due to the video content. Therefore, I think it's time to make video a first-class citizen on the web. And a first-class citizen on the web deserves its own element, its own tag. And I propose to call this tag video. I think that's quite self-evident that if we are going to do video seriously, and I think we should, then we need a video element. Some other people are arguing that we should use object instead. That's a different discussion. I'm not going to take that here. Just note that there is a healthy discussion going on for this. Ian Hickson is the editor of What Working Group's specification on this, commonly referred to as HTML5, formally recognized as Web Applications 1.0, this draft encodes many of the new additions that browser vendors and others would like to see go into HTML. It also documents actually how HTML works, which is something we haven't had for a while. And one of the additions that we propose in Web Applications 1.0 or HTML5, as we call it most of the time, is the video element. Let's see here. There's an audio element too to go along with it, but today my focus is on the video element. And if you're interested in seeing, what kind of capabilities and the video element should have and how to express those capabilities, you should probably go to the specification, whatwg in one word .org. That's where you'll find that. I'm not going to go into all the intrinsics here of how to loop and how to fast forward and how to stop. Just saying that from the outset, this is very simple. We'd like for people to just write video and then give a source file, just like you do in an image. You know the image tag, and you have a source attribute, and you just point to URL, and there the browser will then automatically retrieve the image and display it. We want the same to be the case for video. It's a little more complex with video because the browser will need to provide some kind of user interface to play and stop and pause maybe if the page doesn't specify that. But we should also allow the markup and the JavaScript to interact with the video element so that you can write a really advanced and really good-looking video player. So basically provide your own user interface to this. I think this is possible using the same element. The second question, first question is markup. The second question is which video format should we use? I believe very strongly that we need to agree on some kind of baseline video format if this is going to succeed. Flash is today the baseline format on the web. The problem with Flash is that it's not an open standard. It's a proprietary format. It hasn't been documented anywhere, and it probably requires the payment of licenses if you are going to use it, if you're going to write software for it, if you're going to display it, and maybe even if you're going to use it. I don't know. I don't really want to know. What I know is that the web community has always been based on open standards. This has been what the web is founded on, where HTML started. That's why we developed a PNG image format. We wanted to have a freely implementable open standard to hold the content that we're putting out there. Our content is way too valuable to put into some locked format, I believe. This goes back all the way to SGML, which had sort of the mantra was own your own data. That's why you wanted to use an open standard to contain it. And if you look at open standards for video today, there aren't too many to pick from. There are some initiatives. There is one which I believe is the right one at the moment, and that's called Ogg Theora. It's the cousin of Ogg Vorbis that some of you may know about. I'm going to say a little bit more about Ogg Theora as well, but first, just take the argument that some people put forward that we shouldn't really name what formats that should be supported. HTML, for example, the HTML 3 and 4 specification, they don't list what formats browsers have to support. But everyone knows that unless you support GIF and PNG and JPEG, you're not going to be able to render web pages. But it's not written down anywhere. People have been saying, oh no, we should keep these things separate. HTML is here and the image formats are there, and you're free to support any format you want, and the market is going to decide which one is successful or not. I think that has worked for HTML because when the HTML specification was written, Mosaic had already been there for a year or so and had established that JPEG and GIF had to be present. There was no way you could write a web browser after Mosaic that didn't support those two. PNG was added later through the very hard task of writing an open standard and pushing it out when you come late to the party. Therefore, I think it's important that we from the beginning think about this. And I do think that Ogg Theora is the right format. Ogg Theora is developed by a foundation. I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name. I think I'll leave it there for you to read yourself. It is a cousin of the audio format, Ogg Vorbis, which has been quite successful, I'd say. You find actually MP3 players and hardware out there that will play Ogg Vorbis. Ogg Theora isn't quite there yet, but you can easily find software to display Ogg files. The VLC player is available on several platforms. It's very popular, personally, I used to create some of the demos I'm going to be showing. I used a command line tool on Linux called ffmpeg2 Theora, which was easily available on my Ubuntu system just by searching for something with Theora in its name and then downloading and installing it. And from there I could create Ogg files straight from DVD files. So it was quite painless to create. There's also a discussion on compression quality, whether Ogg Theora is good enough. People will say, oh no, but MPEG-4 or H.264 have much better compression ratio than any of the puny free formats, and maybe that is the case. I think a lot of good work has gone into those formats. The problem with them is two. First, they're not freely available. And second, they also require a lot of computing power. The more advanced the video format is, the more computing power it demands. And for example, on a machine like this, I don't think we're going to see advanced MPEG-4 decoders. First, for the cost reason. For a machine that costs $100, you simply cannot pay anything for software at all. Nothing for the operating system, nothing for the browser, and nothing for the video decoders. Second, it cannot decode MPEG-4 in real time, I believe. I haven't tried, but that's my assumption after talking to some of the experts in the field. Are there other alternatives to Ogg? Maybe there are. If so, I think the vendor should step forward with them. If Adobe or Microsoft or Apple have some format that can be used freely and available on all platforms and portable to all sorts of units, then step forward and we'll discuss. Maybe even Google has some. I don't know. Okay, enough talking. Now I'm going to be demoing this element. Then I had to switch to. Has any of you got it working, by the way? Anyone tried to download it yet? No? Okay. Well, here I'll go. Let's see. And then the audio there. Perfect. Great. So this is Opera. This is a browser, as you know it. It's a big black field here. I haven't put much design into the pages I created using this. Let's just look at a very basic example first. This is a very simple Ogg file that I found on the net. I don't know if it has audio even. It has 3 buttons here. Play, pause, and stops. Those are the methods. They map onto JavaScript methods so that when I press them, they will trigger events, and now I can pause the video, for example, and I can stop it, and I can start to play it again. So that's something I found. Now for this one is something I decoded myself, and this is. I don't know if you're into. Do you have any sound here? I am outputting, I think. You know what this is? Significant moment in Scandinavian history. Contest. And I'm playing this in honor of the Swedish programmers who actually coded this. We're based in Oslo, Norway. We have working in Sweden as well, and they're the ones who put this in. I'm going to show you these things playing in.
He's a demolition demon in a beat-up Chevrolet. It ain't worth $1, so he wrecks it every day. Now here is Killer smash up derby set. And you can
pretty much takes
holler, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Crash, bang, crack 'em up, put 'em back again. Crash, bang, smash 'em up, it's smash up time, my friend. Kenner's SSP smash up derby set comes with everything you see right here.
Lots of issues that the spec will need to address that I, when I give a demo, don't have to talk too much about. Here's another demo using the same clip, just with a slightly more advanced JavaScript interface, so that when you hover over it, this half-transparent field at the bottom will pop up as a control. That takes a few lines of JavaScript to write, but it's not too complex, really. So those are the demos. I pretty much only have, self-made demos because we haven't really pushed this out yet. This is the first day that the Opera is available for download, for playing with. And I should also say I'm not making any product announcements here. This is only for experimental purposes. We expect the spec to change, and we expect to improve our support as well. And whether we're going to launch Opera with this and when that's going to happen, I can't say anything about that. I do think, though, that we, the web community, should start to play with this because we want to take video more seriously. I'd love for people to create pages using video. For example, if there are YouTube or Google video people here, I'd love to have sort of a lab section where you and we, the web community, could, play with these things and see what can be done, see what makes sense, and feed that back into the specification as well, so that Ian can make the necessary edits for it. And I think, given the speed we're traveling at now, I think we can have this working. By the end of the year, I think we can have several shipping browsers with support for this. The Mozilla people we are talking to through the What Working Group, and also other browser vendors. The support for the video tag is quite strong, I feel. There is the issue of baseline format, which is more controversial. I do hope, for the best of the web, I do hope that we can find that baseline format. And if any of you have ideas on how to help us with that, I'd love to talk to you. Again, here's the URL for where to find Opera with the video. And thanks for inviting me. Question?
Yeah, hi. Mark Copeland, Google. I just wanted to ask, other than Ogg Theora, what other video frameworks are you supporting on Windows, Mac, or Linux through the video element? Like, would you support QuickTime on Mac, and would you support whatever it is, Direct Show, the frameworks on Windows?
Right.
So that if I had codecs installed, you know, like a DivX codec or something.
It's a good question. This experimental version that is available now only supports Ogg Theora, even if there are other codecs available on Windows, and this is only available for Windows now. We don't look for them. We don't try to do it. We're only looking at Ogg Theora at the moment. The specification itself, the WhatWG specification says user agents should support Ogg Theora video, but you're free to use anything, basically. I would say, personally, my opinion is that browsers shouldn't support other codecs, at least not in the beginning, until we have established a baseline format. We should not support other codecs with the video element. If you want to use other codecs like Flash, then please continue to use the object element for that. We don't want to contaminate video with other formats. Now, that's quite an extreme position, and a lot of people disagree with me. So maybe we'll be more open and say, hey, if you have other codecs, we will look for them and we will support them. The danger is that stops the community from finding that baseline format, which I think is essential for making video work in the long term. Yes, question?
Hi, this is sort of a two-piece question. First, most of the reasons you gave for having a video element sounded like they were on the content author creator side of things. I'm wondering if the video element is compelling in some way for consumers, users of the web, versus the existing Flash-based video content. What sorts of things can I do as a user, or will I see that I wouldn't otherwise be able to?
It's a good question. I'm typing my answer right now. Okay, so I'm mixing markup here. This is an element first, and then there's CSS underneath, right? If I know that the video is in the video element, I can remove them as a user. In my personal style sheet, I can say display none, and thereby remove all video elements from my screen if I don't have the bandwidth to download it or don't really want to see it. So that's one on the user side, one argument for using the video element.
Okay, and the second part of the question is, from the content author perspective, given the ubiquity that you mentioned of Flash and how many of the video sites like YouTube, for example, are allowing people to embed their players onto sites, I guess I'm sort of looking for what you think are going to be the most compelling reasons for authors who are not very idealistically motivated by open standards to say, wow, this is actually easier than what I can do right now, or it's somehow more compelling for me in some way.
Right. Well, that's another good question. I think for those who don't really care about web standards or proprietary markup or anything, and we've seen that most of the web don't care about it. They just put in whatever works. We had to come up with something. I mean, we all run around with video cameras in our pockets, right? And these don't create Flash format. They had to be converted, and today it's being done at a server side. I do think to truly have user-generated sites like people have home pages. If you're going to put video there, you're not going to have the Flash tools available. Your homepage generator, I don't think, will have it. Whereas the tools to create Ogg are easier. At least they don't have any legal problems that we know of. So I think the ubiquitousness of these free formats, it's easier to make software for them. Therefore, there will be more software for it. Maybe that isn't going to be the case in the short term. I don't know. I do think, therefore, it's important that those of us who have lived on the web for a long time, who want the web to succeed, and not only your page to work today and tomorrow, we who see the need for open formats, that, hey, we created an industry based on open standards here. We don't want to contaminate our own industry. We want open standards to continue to be the foundation. So some of us have to be responsible. I'm looking at Ian here now. I think Google is very responsible. You have the don't do no evil thing, right? That suggests to me you are responsible, and this is something, therefore, I'm very happy to talk about here. And I'm happy that you asked that question. There's one question in the back as well.
Yeah, so I'm John Harding. I work on Google Video and YouTube. And so one of the things that I'm curious about, and I've kind of been exchanging some emails with Ian about, is the level of interactivity that's going to be exposed to the DOM. Like, one of the advantages of Flash, not just the fact that you have that video there, but you can do a great deal of manipulation on its scriptability of it, and making sure that, in my mind, the video tag, if it's going to be successful, needs to offer a superset of what Flash currently does, or you're not going to get that momentum to switch people away from it. So I don't know. That was one thing that you had play, pause, stop, but in my mind, as somebody who has written a player, there's a whole lot more that I want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this is our first, just 1 week hack in Opera. The specification is actually much more advanced by now. Maybe you want to say something about that, Ian?
Yeah, there's two issues, right? There's making sure that the implementers actually implement the thing, and then there's making sure it's useful for the authors. The spec right now is a big superset of what Håkon presented, but it's a subset of what QuickTime or Flash will provide. I think over time we'll increase the API until it gets to a sweet spot where people are able to use it. The concern is making sure we don't jump straight to the complete API, because then the browser vendors will each implement their own little part of it. Nothing will work in every browser, and we'll end up in a kind of a mess we have with many other specs that have done the same thing, jumping to a complete solution.
Mark, did you have a question?
Yeah, just one other question about accessibility.
I do.
A question about accessibility. Is there fallback content like the alt attribute in the image element?
Yeah. Unlike image, the video element is it's not empty, so it can contain textual content. So that older browsers will display the textual content. So if you open some of the pages that you see when if you download this demo and write some, go to some of these pages, you will see that it says, you don't have Ogg Theora player installed or something. So it's not going to be just a black hole. There will be some explanatory text, but of course we can't easily replicate the video experience with that fallback content.
I see. So just to get this straight, the child content of the video element is the fallback content.
Yes.
Like Canvas.
Yes. And object even.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that there's actually, there's a logical place to put fallback content, which is inside the video itself. So, for example, if there's caption information embedded within the video, it may make more sense to at least have the ability to just use that as fallback content. Not in the case of the browser not supporting it, but from an accessibility point of view of the user can't actually watch video. They just want, the captions displayed as text or whatever. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah.
There's some accessibility people here at Google that would be excellent people to provide feedback, and I already pointed Ian at them.
That's very good feedback. Anyone else? If not, I suggest we say thank you for inviting me again.